I have posted on here every single day for 776 days in a row without taking one single break or one day off, and I post multiple pieces of content every single day. Now, I have made this my job. I do make an income from this. I built a business from doing this, so I kind of like to think I know a thing or two about how to be consistent with your content in a way that actually pays off. So let me share with you some of the daft and not so daft shit I have done in the name of being ridiculously consistent. Now, I do want to say, being consistent on its own is not enough to get you results. You can post 776 days in a row and still see nothing, because there needs to be strategy and intention behind what you're doing. But at the same time, I would be lying if I said consistency doesn't matter, because consistency creates momentum. It gives you volume, which gives you data. And when you have data, you can figure out what works an awful lot faster. First thing I need to get out of the way is that I am absolutely cooked in the brain. I have a very obsessive personality, which makes it much easier for me to hyperfixate on something like creating content, which is so dopamine driven. But if you don't want to cook your own brain, which I would suggest you don't, and you want more practical tips, the first thing I will say is get a reason why. You need a reason for creating content that goes beyond the metrics and beyond the numbers, some kind of higher purpose, I guess. My reason for creating content is that I want to help normal people make an income from content creation. So every single time I receive a message from somebody saying that my content has helped them in some way, I screenshot that and come back to it in moments where I'm really demotivated. It reminds me of why I started. Next thing is, every single thing I post comes from some kind of lived experience. I will only share information or tips or advice that I have personally benefited from, or that I've done with a client, or that comes from a question in my community. And you go from what should I post today to what have I learned that I can share, you start seeing content ideas absolutely everywhere. The next thing is, momentum creates momentum. The more content you create, the more ideas will just appear out of thin air. They'll maybe come from the questions that people ask in the comments. You'll maybe start to notice patterns. One video will maybe spark an idea for another. Next thing I do is use something called the dumb shit budget. I've done a whole separate video on this, but basically every single week I leave a bit of space in my content plan just to post things for the complete fun of it, with no pressure at all. That's what keeps this interesting and exciting. One of the main things is, I never aim for perfection. I aim for posted. I know that I'm never going to watch a video back and be 100% happy with it. I aim for about 80% and then I'm good. And then finally, I have a strategy. I don't wake up in the morning trying to reinvent the wheel. I know what percentage roughly of content I need in a week to be able to grow my account, to be able to build community, to be able to generate leads. I don't rely on motivation. I rely on a system. That makes things 100 times easier. So if you struggle with consistency, maybe try a couple of those things. But remember, consistency on its own doesn't drive results. If you focus on being consistent for the sake of being consistent, you'll just get good at being consistent and not much else.